Hey everyone, the perspective you're seeing me from right now is the back of my recliner, rocking chair, lazy boy thing that you normally see me sitting on. So now you're a little bit further back into my little office here. I'm never afraid of giving you guys behind the scenes looks at anything. But sometimes I can't tell whether people are trolls, but this was something that I have no problem with doing anyway. So this is from Jay Moore. I don't remember him ever commenting on my channel before I brought up the name of another YouTuber, and I expect trolls, but some trolls are subtle. I can't tell if this is a troll or not. He says, "Agent, to be honest, I'd rather you spent a little time talking about the books you have in your collection. I'm always looking for more interesting stuff to read." So he's wondering what's on the bookshelves behind me. And I said, look closely at the center bookshelf in most of my recent videos. Those aren't books, those are paintings. These are all paintings that I have done. Most of them are studies of other people's work. And so I'm not trying to pass it off as my own, but I'm debating. Some of them I might repaint, just gesso over, and just redo, because why waste the canvas when I can just keep on practicing. I'm not the best painter in the world, So let's see. He said, "I'm going to have to buy a mobile phone magnifying glass, aren't I? Or get my act together and buy some kind of machine that has a monitor." And I said, "I'll make a close-up video anyway." Now, if this was a subtle troll, maybe he's thinking, I have like garbage books behind me, and if it were ever revealed what these books actually were, that I'd be embarrassed about them. But no, in fact, far from being embarrassed, I'm actually going to, instead of just like reading all the titles and making it really boring for you all, I'm gonna trust you guys to read with your eyes, and I'm just going to give you a couple of pointers as far as good books to read. I'll stop on the ones that are good and give those comments, but pretty much what I'm gonna do is something that maybe others wouldn't, because they'd be embarrassed of their book collection or their stage that they use for their YouTube videos. They wouldn't explore it, because there's a facade, right? And fuck that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to point to each book, and then I'm going to tell you whether or not I read it. So I'm going to say, read it, didn't read it. Read it, didn't read it, okay? And so I figure that that's probably what a subtle troll is getting at. Like, you didn't read all those books. I have read a lot of books, and then just in finishing my English major, I spent years just reading. But I will tell you, for the past probably 5 years, the majority of the things that I read are on the internet. That's where I spend most of my time reading. But the books. Here we go. Not embarrassed at all. Let's see. Before we get there, I've been painting this zombie gnome. He's got a little football helmet there. This was a gift from Ernest Baker. He does the Dark Side Creations zombie gnomes. You can find him on Facebook. But this is like a solid cement thing, and he gave me a blank one so that I could paint my own. So I'm gonna probably put a Steelers logo on this, but yeah. Anyways, this is me warming up to paint. This was ink and brush, and this is actually SJW 101's avatar. It's actually, who was it? It's not Orson Welles. Who's the other guy? Fucking George Orwell. That's who it is. That's George Orwell. That's SJW 101. George Orwell, SJW. I hope he doesn't mind that I'm outing that, because it's pretty much a famous character. I hope he was like trying to like paint a theme with his selection of Avatar there. But anyways, these are the two books that I am reading right now. I'm like 10 pages into this one. It's called 1 Minute Mindfulness, and Misty bought me this book, and so I have to read it. And it's basically, she doesn't like that I forget things like leaving lights on in the house, you know, just not doing things that she wants me to do, house chores, I guess. So she wants me to read this book, right? And then I start reading it, and I find it has nothing to do with what she would actually want me to do. It's like she wants me to not be the kind of person that I've read the first 10 pages of this, where it's like, oh, be mindful when you wake up and stretch for like 10 minutes, just stay in the same spot. That's not what she wanted. I already spend too much time waking up every day, so I'm still going to finish it, though. It's just hard for me to get through because it's not something I want to read. This one I bought for myself. This one is The Art World Demystified by Brainerd Carey. I'm about halfway through it, and I really like it. I was looking at a couple of basically books about contemporary artists that are very popular right now, and I decided to buy this book instead because you can read it. And just looking at the portfolio of an artist, where you can like pick up all of the pictures that are of the same paintings and murals and works. You can get all that on the internet. So like, I don't want to buy a picture book, so I bought this book to read it, and I will just look at pictures on the internet for all the other stuff. So here we go with the books. Okay, these are the books that are actually on the bookshelf, not the ones that I am currently reading. All right, Reddit. Let's see. Did not read this one. This was actually sent to me by a Christian publisher. Did not read this one. This is just an old book that I'm keeping. Read this. That's the Bible. I read it. Did not read that. Just keeping it because it's an old book. Read it. This is a really good book. Long Memory by... There you go. Did not read this one. Saw the movie. Did not like the movie. I actually listened to this one right here on audiobook in 1997, and also Jurassic Park. I listened to that on audiobook around the same time. I had a coworker that liked to bring audiobooks to work. Read this one. Did not read this one. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Is that embarrassing? I also haven't read Moby Dick, but I intend to read this one. This was a gift from someone just to get me to read it. Lord of the Flies I read. The Satanic Bible I read. Never read the Quran all the way through. No. I've only used that for looking up things. Scarlet Letter I read. Charles Dickens' Great Expectations I read. This is a book by a YouTuber. This was Al1981X. He had other names. Alex Wiley's his pen name. So it's called How to Lose Friends and Annihilate People. Read it, and I recommend that if you were from that era of YouTubers, you should probably read it too. Let's see. Blake's Selected Poems, read it. Read this one, French New Wave. It's about cinematography, something that all YouTubers should be interested in. Night by Ellie Weasel, did not read. I have not read this book, and it's behind me all the time. This one I recommend to everyone. The Book of Satanic Quotations. And I recommend this to you if you are an atheist. And this is one of those things where they're confusing atheism and Satanism a lot. So a lot of the quotes that are in here are from atheists. And if you're looking for different people to read in the realm of atheism from history, then this is a good book, actually. It was a gift from my brother, and he did right by me. Let's see. I knocked over Mr. Poop. 50 Centuries of Art, I have not read. I just picked it up from the Denver Library having a sale. Also, this watercolor book, have not done more than look through the pictures. This right here, have not read. I picked up all of these recently. This one too. Now this is some of Blake's watercolors, and I have read this one. I've studied that one a lot. The World of Michelangelo, read that. Norman Rockwell book, I read that. This is a Playboy that I keep up here because, let's see, where is it? The Conflict Between Faith and Reason. It's a Playboy issue that actually was talking about atheism, and so I thought that was a big step for atheism. So I kept this Playboy issue. No, I don't like looking at most of the people that are professional wrestling divas naked, because it always lets me down. Like, they're not hardly wearing anything in the ring anyway, but then you see, especially the issue with China, which I don't own, but I did see at a friend's house. I was just like looking for an Adam's apple the whole time. So, yeah. Now, the Red Badge of Courage here, I did read when I was in high school. Not this actual book, but every book pretty much on this bookshelf is old, and that's the only reason I own it, and I have not read that book. They're hardbound. Just I used to collect antiques. I had an antiques market, some of you know, and so when an old book would come through, I would just keep it. And these are not my only old books. This one right here, though, is a second edition Through the Looking Glass that needs to be rebound. So it would cost more to redo this book than it actually is worth, you know, so I'm not going to bother with it. But one day I might take it apart and make a YouTube video about it, you know, because it's got a lot of good pictures on the pages that can show like how the original really did inspire a lot of the artwork that has come from the Alice in Wonderland story. Okay, here's a bookshelf where I've read most of them. The Family I read. This one I did not. This was probably a textbook that EvoGen Video sent me. This one I have read. This whole thing, and it's giant. It's from the Freedom from Religion Foundation. That's why I picked it up. This one, Film, Space, Time, Light, and Sound. Read that. Did not read this one. Heart of Darkness is one of my favorite stories. If you like Apocalypse Now, this is what it was based on. Read that one. This one I read and is signed by the author. Read that one. Read that one. This I actually recommend to everyone. This is another one. Christopher Hitchens' God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. Great book. Now I'm going to have to stuff it in later. Have not read this one by Victor J. Stenger, but it is signed by the author. Have not read this one. I read this one in high school. Have not read this one. I got it from a Christian publisher who wanted me to review it. The Portable Atheist by Christopher Hitchens is actually, when I recommend this to you, I'm recommending the things that Christopher Hitchens recommended to you, because it's like only the foreword and the introduction is written by Christopher Hitchens. The rest is just historic atheist writings that are good for people to have read. So yeah, this I recommend too. Have not read this one. Just found it somewhere. Have not read. Have not read. This is my internet secured. I shouldn't even have this on the bookshelf. That's my Kaspersky copy. This is just an old book. Read this whole thing. William Blake. I actually thought about getting a tattoo of one of the William Blake plates. Kind of like the movie Red Dragon, only not the same plate. This one is kind of a mainstay in my job. It says, I could do anything if only I knew what it was. That's the title. Buzzed, I have not read, but I have to. It's one of those standards in my field, and before I take a test coming up next year, I have to have this book read, so that's why I purchased it. Have not read, but plan to. That's just a Bible. And down here, we've got have not read, Fahrenheit 451, everyone's read. War of the Worlds and the Time Machine, I read as a high schooler. Have not read, well, I have read this one. This is a Shakespearean play. Have not read On a Pale Horse. I have not read. That's embarrassing, but I plan to. Have not read. This is like original housewife porn that I have not read. 2 old books that I'm just keeping because they're old. Have not read. Read. Did not read, but got in the mail because I was a delegate for the GOP as a spoiler voter, and so I got Ben Carson's prescription for America for free in the mail. Read. Have not read. Have not read. Have not read. Read. Have not read, but I like the title. And just an old book I have not read. Bottom here. Sketchbooks. Read. This is a book by a friend of mine, A.F. Alexander, called The Religious Right, The Greatest Threat to Democracy. I recommend it to everyone. Have not read. Read, and I actually recommend The Poisonwood Bible to everyone too, by Barbara Kingsolver. It was a bestseller. Great stuff. Read. This is a Bible. This I have read a little bit of. Have not read. Read and signed by the author. Have not read. Okay, so the middle bookshelf here is all paintings. I already said that. The bottom of it is a Marshall amp. And I don't hardly play music on my Agent of Doubt channel. You'd have to find one of my other channels in order to find most of my music. Okay. So, over here we have 2 of my high school yearbooks. Read most of this in a class. That's a textbook. Have not read but like 3 chapters of, because I just got tired of kind of arguments of how Democrats are treasonous. This is one of the Bachman books by Stephen King, writing under his Richard Bachman pen name. It's hardbound, so I keep that. But I have read that, just not in this book. Let's see. Manchurian Candidate, have not read that and plan to. The Cloister and the Hearth, I have read this for an English class. I didn't like it. Report of the National Advisory Commission on Civil Disorders. This is one of those things like the 9/11 Commission book where a lot of people own it and never fucking read it, me included. No Snowflake in an Avalanche by Mikey Weinstein. Have read, and this is signed by the author. Satanic Panic, I recommend to everyone. This is a great book. This is basically my childhood for everyone who is 25 years and older age right now, because you just don't understand how people actually believe that shit, that there was like roving bands of Satanists who were abducting children and sacrificing them. You know, this was a real fear that people had back in the 80s and 90s. Have not read. Read. This is a book on sales. It's real good. Have not read. Have not read. Read. I have not read this one. It's by Greta Christina, and it is signed by the author as well. There's some videos of when she came to UCCS on my YouTube channel. This is just a dictionary. So, The God Delusion, just about every atheist read this. Some of them have read it into their cameras. Read, and read. All right. Just a couple more bookshelves in this room. Let's see. Read. This is a book by Michelle Knight. She's another YouTuber. It's called Checkmate. You can check out her channel, MS Knight 5. Read that one. Read. This is an entire series that I need to get the whole series of, but I've only read the first one. It's called A Child Called It. Probably 10 years ago, this was cutting edge in psychology as far as like what psychologists like to talk to each other about. Nine Highland Road is also a very good book. Still Life with Woodpecker by Tom Robbins is a great book. Read those. Have not read. Have not read and will never read. This is the Orion Mystery. Unlocking the Secrets of the Pyramids. No. I'm probably going to burn that one. The Lion and the Witch in the Wardrobe I read, but not this book. Have not read. I did read The Turn of the Screw, and this is actually my favorite book of all time, right here. It's very small. Saul Bellow Sees the Day. Basically, there's a very good example of everything I hate in a person, all rolled into one person. Like every little thing that I could possibly hate in a character in this. The Triggering Town is a good book for English majors. Christopher Moore's A Dirty Job is a good book, but it's kind of derivative of things like that Showtime show about the Grim Reaper group. Read this about the art of the prose of H.P. Lovecraft is story. I used to like him when I was a high schooler. Waist High in the World is a good book about handicaps. It's kind of inspiring. And last one in this room. Have not read. I did read War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I did read that one. Have not read. I did read The Catcher in the Rye. I did read all of the works of Milton. Have not read this one. I read all of the books of the Apocrypha. There's dragons in there. Gulliver's Travels I read. Have not read this one. This one's embarrassing. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? This is like an English classic that I have not read yet. I read Cosmos. I have not read A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, which I should because it's a classic among atheists and philosophers. Couldn't Keep It to Myself by Wally Lamb is a book about basically stories from incarcerated women, and I do recommend it. It was a book that I picked up because I saw the author who compiled these stories on The Daily Show. Read this one. Two Nations I recommend, as well as this book called Nigger. It's basically all about the strange career of a troublesome word. These two books together I would recommend. Like, read them both together. Have not read. I haven't read the Vagina Monologues at all. I've only seen a couple of them in YouTube videos, a couple scenes of them. But Eve Ensler is the person who wrote a song that is in one of my videos. It's like one of the most popular videos on my YouTube channel. Have not read, did not read, and was sent by a Christian publisher to review, and I'm never going to get to it. And have not read. So, this is just this room. Right. So yeah. There's a good number of these books that I have not read yet, and I'm not embarrassed about it. Wait. There's something else that you probably saw in all of these YouTube videos. This is a CD collection, and yes, I've listened to every one of these CDs. And I used to have long commutes back and forth from school and work, so I used to play CDs all the time. And then, MP3s came about, and it was a lot easier for me to carry it all on like one thumb drive. So yeah, these aren't books at all. These are CDs. Just like these are paintings, these are CDs. They're not books. They don't make me look smart because they're not books, right? And below that, there are stacks and stacks and stacks of Guitar World magazine, Guitar for the Practicing Musician, basically guitar, and most of my guitars are just collecting dust in this room. I don't really play them a lot, especially not on my Agent of Doubt channel. So there it is. It's not that embarrassing to own books that you haven't read yet. Life comes at you fast, and sometimes you'd rather live life than sit reading a book. Sometimes you'd rather read a book than deal with whatever is going on around you. And so there it is. There is an entire room full of books downstairs that has different genres than I was presenting here. Basically, we broke them up by theme. So Misty and I have books together downstairs in an office that I would have to make a part 2 video just to go through all of that. In fact, fuck it. This will be part 1, and then I'll go through that one and show you how many of those books that we own that I have not read. You know? Because it's not embarrassing at all. You have to put your books somewhere, or you could get rid of them, I guess. But this is how I like to display mine. And not for any other purpose. But, I'm actually thinking about reorganizing this room so that I can have my new computer closer to where I like to paint, which is right behind me right here. So what is my backdrop from year to year changes just based on where I set up my chair that I'm normally in. I got that lazy boy that you guys are propped up on right now. I got it because I had basically bruised my tailbone and I wanted it to heal, and anytime I sat in a hard chair I was basically re-injuring my tailbone, and over the years my tailbone healed, so it's just now grown on me. It's now my chair. It's the chair that I do all my computing in, because it used to be a necessity, now it's just a habit. But even the chair, it kind of looks like Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget. It's not really meant to send any signal to you guys subliminally that I might be smarter than I'm letting on, or anything like that. It's just what's comfortable. I have been sending a message with the little enshrined subscribe pillow up here, because I don't like giving the commands, the call and response of like, comment, subscribe to this video. Fuck that. At the end of every fucking video. There's so many YouTubers that do that, and I know it's a working formula that people have used to succeed, but I can't get with it. So this is actually like a joke for me. This exalted with two candlesticks right next to it. They're teakwood candlesticks. Everything around that is just like camera gear. But the reason why I put this up at the top of the bookshelf so it looms overhead while I'm doing my YouTube videos is just a big fucking joke. Really. It's funny to me. Hopefully it's funny to you. So, if I'm going to show you guys part 2, it'll be in another video, because this video is getting long. And, yeah, probably even more books that I haven't read in that collection, because some of Misty's are mixed in. Laters.